This is a Fox News alert. The Senate Judiciary Committee has received from the FBI their final investigation into Judge Kavanaugh. The administration said to, as somebody at the administration talked to the Wall Street Journal, said there's nothing, Judge, in the report that Congress is now holding that would essentially derail his nomination.
Well, we haven't seen it, and I would offer a slightly dissenting view. I was disappointed that they didn't interview Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford and a few more people, because now the people that don't want Judge Kavanaugh confirmed, whether they don't want him confirmed because of a perception that he's ideologically against them or because they really believe the allegations against him, now have more ammunition and more doubt to say, why was the FBI held back? Was the FBI used as a political instrument yet again? Why weren't they just allowed to interview whoever they wanted, including the two principals, Judge Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford? Those allegations are going to stick.
But, Judge, it's easy for us to say, why didn't the FBI interview those two individuals? They should have done that. I know her attorney feels that way. We're not FBI agents. They might have watched the hearings. They might have said, we were going to ask those exact questions. There's no more that we need.
You may very well be right, and it's a little awkward for me to criticize a report I haven't seen and probably will never see, although somebody's going to leak something.
Bloomberg said the White House told him not to.
Well, if Bloomberg is correct, Bloomberg's reporting is correct, and if Senator Feinstein's request for the memo from Don McGahn, the White House legal counsel, to the FBI setting forth the parameters of the this last inquiry will not be made public, these are legitimate criticisms.
Sure.
But I also want to note how difficult this is, because I keep hearing this from friends in D.C., for the court itself, which now is viewed in the minds of so many Americans as just another political institution. Now, you haven't heard a peep from any of the 8, but I know some of them, and I've heard from some of them, not directly, but through others. They're just not happy at the way the court itself as an institution has come off.
But, Judge, tell me if this is right. I mean, they weren't happy in 2000 when they decided Bush versus Gore. They were not happy when John Roberts preserved Obamacare.
You're right. These things have a way of dissipating. But right now, John Roberts is a very unhappy Chief Justice. He was ready to welcome Brett Kavanaugh, whom he knows, because Judge Kavanaugh clerked there, with open arms.
Right.
But not happy with the perception of the court as a political institution. In my column today, I was harshly critical of treating the court as a political institution. Does the court exist to do the people's will? Absolutely not. That's what Congress and the president exist for.
Right.
The court exists to interpret the Constitution and to preserve human liberty.
So what happens next? Now the senators will read this report. Will there be a vote, you think, on Saturday? And is there anything that the Democrats can do to stop it?
I don't think there's anything procedurally the Democrats can do to stop it unless they have the votes. Now, we were talking during the break, Senators, some of them may not make up their minds until the last minute. But knowing Mitch McConnell, I don't think he's going to bring this to the floor on a Saturday evening or a Sunday morning, whenever it's going to be now, without having a pretty good idea of how many votes he has.
Right. And, Judge, you were talking a minute ago about how Blasey Ford's attorneys and others are saying, you know, this is not a legitimate decision because they didn't talk to the two principals, the FBI. But at the same time, how many times have we heard the Democrats say, this is a job interview for a lifetime tenured job? So why didn't the members of the Senate Judiciary Committee ask the questions themselves rather than wait? You know, if you really had a question for those people, why didn't you ask them when you had a chance?
I thought the procedure was awful. And I hope
but it was still their opportunity
never
to ask the question.
Repeated of the 5-minute series of questions by this prosecutor who sounded like she was taking a deposition in a civil case.
She never adjusted.
No, she never did. It wasn't until Senator Graham, who must have thought in his own mind, enough is enough. I'm going to ask these questions.
You know what? One question.
For having an embolism.
But there was one question she asked. Everyone was criticizing her, but there was that one question she asked about the polygraph test, and then Dr. Ford's ex-boyfriend comes out and says she answered that prosecutor's question. She said, I've never discussed a polygraph unless it's been with my attorneys. And he said, that's not true. She helped prep her best friend for a polygraph.
Well, you know, how deep into the woods into the weeds are you going to go? Are you going to talk to everybody that Brett Kavanaugh ever went drinking with when he was 17 years old, or everybody that Dr. Ford ever talked to? So I give the FBI credit for knowing when to stop. If they made that decision on the basis of the answers they got, if they made that decision on the basis of the instructions they got from the White House, then this is not a legitimate investigation.
Just real quick, 650 law professors said they signed a letter saying the Senate should not confirm Brett Kavanaugh. A liberal attorney, Alan Dershowitz, said, I did not sign that letter, and I'm outraged that someone wrote it.
They've asked him not to come back to Harvard Law School to teach there, as bright a human being.
So he can't go to barbecues on Martha's Vineyard, and now he can't even go back to his
I'm not talking about Dershowitz. I'm talking about Judge Kavanaugh. They don't want Judge Kavanaugh. The Harvard faculty doesn't want Judge Kavanaugh back there, which is absurd.
Before you go, tell us what's going to happen in this SCIF, the secure area, starting at 8 o'clock when the senators go in and read this thing.
You go in there and you read it, and you can't have a mobile device with you, and you can't have any writing material.
You got to be great at reading comprehension portion of the SATs.
But I have to tell you, this is odd, because the previous FBI reports on him were distributed to everybody in the Senate Judiciary Committee. This is the only one being kept in a safe.
Should it be public?
Yes. Yes, it should.
Why?
But
so you're very disappointed with this whole process.
I really am. But remember,
like 50% of everything that's happened, you disagree with.
But who is going to keep these secrets? Like, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. Somebody's going to look at this stuff and reveal what's in there if it furthers their view of him. This was in there, they didn't tell you about it. That was in there, they didn't tell you about it.
I remember that riddle. Remember that riddle?
What riddle?
About keeping a secret?
It's a Ben Franklin line. It's not original.
Ben Franklin, very bright.
Yes.
Very good.
Judge, thank you very much.
200 years. Hold on.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm off to D.C. today. I'm going to be wandering the halls of Capitol Hill to see who'll talk to me. And then Brett Baer's special report at night.